Hello, everyone. It is time for episode 198 of the Tech Informist. This is Kevin Harvell.
And also Brad Whiteside.
And we want to talk some technology with you and hopefully inform you on some things that you may or may not already be aware of in the world of technology. We skipped last week because of the Thanksgiving holiday.
And our schedules.
Our schedules, yeah. You know, when you're dealing with Black Friday shopping, Brad works retail. I don't know what I kind of do anymore, but anyway, it just...
Yeah, it was all hands on deck.
Yeah, it was family stuff and all sorts of things there at the mall, and we'll get into a little of the Black Friday experience for Brad at work, and because I'm curious to know how that all went as your first retail Black Friday experience. Since you're obviously this age, I don't know if you've done anything like that in the past.
I've shopped before, but definitely not...
where you had to be there.
Had to be there, right, yeah.
Shopping's voluntarily. Voluntary, if I can get that word out correctly. But we'll see. But first up, this may or may not be voluntary, because we kind of have a say in it, but we don't. It's kind of like all up to the FCC chairman.
Which, from as far as we know, it's going to go just the way they want, and that's just it.
Kind of, yeah. So... back in 2015, President Barack Obama helped get something passed through Congress, the House of Representatives, Senate, whichever, about net neutrality rules.
And we talked at length about as to why.
In the past, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
It's because it's like been a big deal. John Oliver, comedian / I don't even know what you would say, talk show host kind of person. Yeah. He's released a couple videos over, one earlier in 2017 and one back in 2015, I think it was, 2016, just about how important net neutrality is. And watching back through the one from 2017, it just really reminds you just how good he does with those videos.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought process that goes into those, and it sort of takes a lot of aspects of it and rolls it into this nice, tight package.
That is humorous, informative, yet easy enough for everybody to understand if you're paying attention and kind of know what he's referring to. And yes, it looks like I'm not exactly sure when the vote is going to be. I know it's coming up very, very soon from the time that we record this on November the 30th. Ooh, December, right around the corner, just a few hours away.
Still can't believe that.
I completely agree.
Yeah, actually, if you're following me on Facebook for some reason, I actually posted a little funny infographic that sort of illustrates it in a better way, I think. It's a terrible way to kind of look at it, and it's probably the most sinister way to look at it, but it is realistic in some way, because initially, being as the internet service providers are kind of the gatekeepers to all of what we know as the internet, we could potentially enter an era where we're more like North Korea or China or something, where we are kind of more filtered and have to pay for more things if we want certain things a certain way. I don't find that very American for my taste.
It's like, think about cable television packages. If you want certain channels, you can get your basic cable for $19.99 a month.
Yeah.
But if you want channels ABC, well, that's in the package that's $29.99 a month. If you want channels DEF, that bumps it up to like $39.99 a month.
But the one you really want, which is actually double the price of the two previous ones before, I'm talking about you, HBO.
Exactly.
Then, that bumps it up to your,
$79.99.
Yeah.
So I don't really think people want their internet to be price structured like that. Or, hey, you're already spending $40, $50, whatever it is you're spending for your internet service provider to access the internet. Then, and see if you want to use Google, well, pay a little bit more for Google. And then that's going to kind of like throttle Bing or throttle Yahoo or something like that, to where search
I don't
results
even consider
won't
Yahoo a real thing anymore.
Yeah, where search results won't come back as fast or something like that. And Netflix, for example, between Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Well, you want the best video stream possible. You want the biggest pipeline so you can get the best quality video coming into your home onto your television.
Also, shouldn't there be like a conflict of interest somewhere in there? Because think of it, AT&T also has their own TV service. Charter also has their own TV service. The Verizon Fios has their own TV service. So if you wanted to stream Netflix, they could like double or triple that to where it actually falls in line with their pricing. And then it's like, you know, in some ways screwing over the customer.
It's really going to affect the cable cutters the most, which, as most people that are probably listening to this podcast are well aware, that's where things have been trending the last couple years.
Yeah.
And looks to continue with companies like Disney wanting to release their own monthly subscription fee.
That brings the question, if this goes through, is somebody like Disney who's just now starting that up, would they even bother at that point?
That's a good question. I don't know. And this guy, Ajit Pai, I'm really not sure. I can't remember how John Oliver pronounced his name. The FCC chairman is an ex-Verizon lawyer. So obviously he knows people at Verizon and those companies. It just seems crooked, backhanded.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
You don't really want to hire the guy that just worked for the other guy. It's a little sneaky.
Yeah. And we're going to include the link to at least definitely the John Oliver talk. And it's about 20 minutes roughly, I think, 20-something minutes. And it's good. It's really good, really funny, things like that. He's just got a great sense of humor.
I'll probably refresh my memory because I do enjoy me some John Oliver. I don't think he has any remorse for if there's a criticism to be made to bring the American people's attention to, he's very good at it.
Which is funny because he's British. That's
always takes a Brit, right?
Yeah, and that is one of the funny parts he does at the beginning and stuff like that. Just you'll have to watch the video and you'll see what I'm meaning. It is really good, but net neutrality, revoking those, that would not be good. So I'm hoping like heck it kind of doesn't happen.
Well, our friend of the show, Justin, kind of made a pretty good point that the Supreme Court, even though, you know, there's kind of a majority House leaning in one direction right now, the Supreme Court's actually been pretty good at shutting things down that are definitely not constitutional.
Yeah.
So I still have a little faith that they could still look at this and kind of think, you guys can't do this.
Yeah, and take the high road on this. Like, you know what? This really isn't the best thing for the American people.
Yeah, so we'll see where it goes. I'm not going to abandon all hope just yet because there are still some things in place that we put in place long, long ago to check our own systems. You know, so we'll see where it goes.
Something back in 1934, I believe it was, based on the video. He was talking about Title I, Title II of something. I can't remember the exact, like, amendments to the Constitution and stuff like that. Something to do with, like, a media act, but from 1934? I mean, really?
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is, like, not really television as much. It's just more of, like, radio back then.
Well, the only last thing I have to say is I feel like the internet is more a utility now than it ever has been. Your internet controls things from your house, your cameras, your smart systems, your internet, your entertainment, your social, your bill paying, your banking. Like, all of that stuff is on the internet. And then if you have to turn around and for some magical reason pay extra and
start paying your bank
What?
$5 a month to access your online account.
No.
Start paying $5 a month to use your Ring
doorbell
or Nest Wi-Fi thermostat or Hue lights,
or think your PSN or Xbox Live. Oh, that'll be an extra $5 or $10 a month just to use that. It's like, well, no.
Yeah,
like the American people will not put up with that.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, I know this isn't a political show, but this is another one of those.
But it's an important tech issue.
Yeah.
It really is, because it affects everyone from Tesla to Google to Netflix to Microsoft to, which, you know, obviously I'm employed. We're just prefacing that in case an employee is listening and I didn't say it during the show or something. Right. So, yes, I do work for Microsoft. However, it does affect all of us. So
yeah, the thing about like the political aspect of it is I just don't like when politicians take new positions and what they do to their predecessors, just immediately all they do is focus on trying to undo what the previous person in that position did.
Yeah, and it seems like when an act is enacted, it is a lot harder to undo them than it would be to maybe just let that ride its course and wait for whatever time they agreed on to maybe subside or go through.
Yeah, most things have an expiration date, quote unquote.
Now, in the case of net neutrality, I don't think it does, because we kind of ruled it as being more of, again, a utility, which
a fair use kind of thing.
I think all of us would kind of agree with that. It's more of a utility than anything. And I know the internet service providers don't want to be just a dumb pipe, but I'm sorry, you kind of are. Again, it affects so many businesses. It's super important, and I don't know what to say beyond that.
Trying to force general consumers like all of us to have to choose and pay more for a better experience using this streaming service or this web browser or this computer operating system or whatever the scenario
I wonder if we get to a point to where you have all the internet service providers that are doing their thing, right? This goes through somehow magically. If we get to a point to where we actually are working like Apple works with, Microsoft works with whoever else to make Internet 2.0 because this goes through. Possible. And they control it.
I don't know.
How weird of a world would that be?
Well, there's a lot of things that are making me think I should be seeing pigs flying around these days, but I guess we're not at that point yet.
Yeah. I
don't know. Strange world we live in. But another cool world that we might soon be living in is HDMI 2.1.
And I'm surprised it's only 2.1.
Right, because HDMI has been around for a while now.
Yeah, the standard that I remember most is 1.4, and that was for most high-definition 1080p stuff. Then, obviously, 2.0 came around with all of the 4K things, and that was, I believe, 18 gigabits per second. So the new one runs at 48 gigabits per second.
That's a lot of stuff coming through the pipe.
Yeah. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe with the new update or upgrade, you'll be able to run 4K imaging at 120 hertz or 120 frames per second, I believe.
That's very possible. I know it definitely is going to help increase resolutions.
Yeah, and we'll be able to go up to like 8K, 10K, maybe even 10K, yeah, 10K in certain scenarios, which clearly there are very, very few things that actually do that in the world today. Obviously, 8K is the, kind of the next step, but we're so far beyond that because not everyone has a 4K TV. I mean, I'm still looking at my 1080p in front of us. So
10K resolution is 10,240 by 4,320 pixels, or what the HDMI forum is referring to as 10K at 120 hertz.
Yeah, that's
smooth.
That's a lot of info.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is cool. I mean, I'll probably buy one and not need it for a while, but I'll know I'll have it. And it'll be hooked up to, of course, my Xbox One X.
Well, yeah, because that's the gaming machine that's going to be able to push the best resolution, at least for a little while. Wow. Yeah, so we're looking at that's probably start rolling out in 2018.
Okay, so that was my next thing. I saw an article from Pocket-Lint, and we were still trying, or rather, they were still trying to figure out if Belkin had already released a cable. I believe they're calling it ultra high speed.
Yeah, UHS. Yeah, is what they're abbreviating the acronym. Sorry.
So the ultra high speed, which is labeled on the box, but I don't know if it's a 2.1 cable. It was $30. $30 for a brand new cable that almost nobody has yet. That's not terrible.
Yeah, I think these are supposed to be available in like the first half of 2018, supposedly, noting that these cables may only ship after complying with the as yet unreleased HDMI 2.1 compliance test specification. So it's kind of like USB Type-C.
Okay. Yeah.
How Benson Leung did all those USB Type-C, like third-party kind of cables testing from Amazon. And he just, this one's not compliant, or, this one's not charging properly, or whatever the proper voltage.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, the throughput for the cables was not acceptable at the proper range.
And I mean, same case kind of goes with like iPhones. Like if it doesn't say made for iPhone or iPod or whatever, what's the acronym? MFI? Yeah, it's MFI. If it's not MFI certified, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Because there are junk cables and your phone may catch on fire.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that in the past.
Yeah, it can at least damage your phone. And because recently I bought Jamie, my wife, a new high-speed, fast-charging micro USB cable and charger from Anchor off Amazon.
One of the only brands I would ever trust that is a third party.
And it was, like fast charging 3.0 or whatever.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's nice.
It is very nice.
Like now I'm kind of jealous because I need a longer lightning cable, I think, because we rearranged our room and things are a little different. But it's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited about this. I mean, I know you're more of the quote-unquote videophile.
Yeah,
if
I have a strength when it comes to like home entertainment, rather, I think I'm leaning more towards video. I would love to know more about sound. My wife's
I was just getting ready to say,
working at a place that she'll have to learn that stuff. So maybe in turn I'll learn a little.
Man, I was just thinking, you might be able to get family discounts because these, we'll call them boutique stores. The Sound Room in St. Louis, Chesterfield, Missouri, is a fantastic place. And, you can go to your Best Buy, your Walmart, or wherever and get a really nice 4K TV with all the bells and whistles. But you go to a place like the Sound Room, a place that specializes in that.
Like, that's literally all they do.
And you walk in and you be like, oh my God, look at these prices. Well, that's because these things are built specifically for this. This is like their highest end stuff.
And you'll hear brands that you're not familiar with, and you're like, well, is that a good brand? Well, and then they'll go through like the history with you, like, well, yeah, this brand's been around for nearly 100 years. You haven't heard of it because they don't usually sell it in Best Buy with all the other quotation name brands. Like these are serious stuff that you're investing into it because you buy it once, then you're done.
Yeah, some of the things that I've heard Tony Pratt, who is a co-host of the Green Gab podcast, and he is also involved with the Sound Room. I forget, he works with contractors when they're building houses and stuff like that, when they're designing all the, how the theater and everything's going to be laid out in these people's houses for stuff. It's pretty impressive. I'm like, oh my God. So
there's some really cool stuff in there.
And that is really cool that it's just like really starting to dawn on me. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to have like the inside stuff for all this video and sound. Like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool.
I've got the capable box. Because now I just need the TV.
The boutique places are going to be the first ones that are going to be able to really educate you on the benefits and why HDMI 2.1 is important for people that do care about it. Yeah, obviously, most people, they're fine just going to the Walmart or whatever and getting a $400 or $500
or have it shipped from Amazon.
TV. Yeah. Shipped from, it worked for us. But again, I'm not a big...
Hey, Cortana, tell Alexa to ship me a cable.
Right. Well, you better watch out because your Cortana on your Surface Pro is going to actually do that.
I totally forgot I had that enabled.
Yeah. Speaking of the Surface Pro, Microsoft Surface Pro is still reportedly more popular than the Surface Book and the Surface Laptop.
Not surprised at all.
No.
I love my Surface Pro. I love to sell a Surface Pro. And it's not that the book or the laptop are not capable. It's that if I'm going portable, I don't need a ton of power because I'm just doing specific things. And in fact, I just have the M3 in mine and it does me just fine. But typically, it is the most portable, lightest, computer for what it does. It's awesome.
From your perspective and your position, obviously you're right there on the front line.
Yeah.
What do you kind of see from your experience when people come in? What do they say they're looking for?
the older generation loves to write. So I definitely
support.
Yeah, I definitely point them towards the Pro because it is essentially made for that. The 3:2 aspect ratio is supposed to be like a sheet of paper, essentially.
Right.
So that makes sense.
That's why they went with it.
Yep. And as soon as you show them that, it makes sense to them immediately without you even telling them that it's supposed to be like a sheet of paper. Beyond that, usually, again, in the older generation, they're looking for a lighter solution that's still powerful. Surface Pro wins on that too. It's 1.9. No, it might even be lighter now with a Pro 5. But with the keyboard attached, it's just under 2 pounds.
Do you know what the Surface laptop weighs off the top of your head by chance?
Yeah, it's like 2.69 pounds or something.
So a smidge more.
Yeah, a smidge more. And then the book, depending if you get the 13 or 15, 13's like 3.8 something, I think. And then the book is like 4.42 or 4.24, something like that. Again, numbers, look at them all the time. Sometimes they get switched. So,
obviously the Pro is the lightest one. It's always been marketed and promoted as the ultimate portable.
I mean, it doesn't have the best battery life out of the three. For obvious reasons, it's the smallest one. However, for its size, it gets great battery life.
And for what it's intended to do. I mean, it's not your mobile video and audio editing machine. It's for your general computing, homework, office work, stuff to get business and school stuff done while on the go.
One of the most interesting things that people actually do worry about is the type cover and its longevity. And I've seen some pretty abused type covers that work just fine. Our community devices that we use constantly for, a bunch of kids usually handle them, which we all know how kids handle things sometimes. They can be rough with even out, without the intention of being rough.
And especially when it's not their own.
Right. So when it comes to longevity, I usually do not worry about my type cover. The only time I think you're going to run into that issue is if you're one of those people, instead of taking the cover off, you just flip it all the way around and you're bending that ribbon cable in there constantly in different directions. Yeah, you might start to see a little bit of a longevity issue.
Right.
I always take mine off instead of bend it around. Or, good buddy of mine at the store, Kevin, also another Kevin, he turns...
Could have been me!
He actually turns it backwards and then folds it up so the keys are against the back plating, so you're not typing on the keys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because when it's flipped around, obviously the keys are disabled anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. You see that story and you think, wow, okay. So yeah, the Surface Pro 4 has like 39.7% of sales as of like November 2017.
Surface Pro 321. What is the Surface Pro 2017, which it kind of just came out, is 9.2. So, I mean, that's another big chunk of it. So, yeah.
Obviously, the Surface Pro lines, Surface Books like 7.1, Surface Laptop 2.0, I believe.
It's so funny, too, because every time we come out with a new Pro, it's like, that's the one to get. This one's great. And then the next year comes out. That's the one to get. This one's great. And it's just literally, you can wait for the rest of your life for the next greatest, biggest thing. You got to just decide when it's right for you to jump on to get the new thing. I mean, right now with all the new Intel stuff and the better battery, everything, I think you'd be just fine for years to come.
That was actually another debate on a Facebook group that I'm a part of. He said that he had the opportunity to get a pretty decent deal on 2 M3 Surface Pros.
Oh my God.
Depending on what you want to do, those would probably be good enough for you.
The best part, you still get the 5 million pixel screen, so you can still just watch Netflix like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, one of the best displays on a portable device such as what it is, form factor.
Love the Surface displays. Absolutely love them, and I would if you sit them next to any other device in the store, you will see the difference. Go ahead and do that next time you're at a store and you're looking around for a laptop or other devices of any kind. You set that device next to any of the other screens.
$200 or $300 Dell
Let
HPs.
me know how bright the Surface is compared to everything else.
Yeah, and crisp the resolution and stuff is.
Yep.
Beautiful stuff. All right, so I'm going to let you talk a little bit about another one of your favorite subjects.
Electric cars?
Electric cars.
Yeah. So this is a real interesting story. It's a little lengthy. Electric kind of did a little bit of write-up. Electrek.
Which I'd never heard of this website before until I saw the post today that you guys are talking about.
Yeah, so Electrek likes to follow a lot of electric vehicle things. They most notably write about, obviously, a lot of Tesla stuff, but they uncover a lot of things. And this was kind of I don't know if more of an internal...
like presentation
kind of
yeah.
that GM is kind of pushing for their newer vehicles. The interesting thing is, if you scroll down a little, it says EV, and this is underlined, is the foundation. EV is an electric vehicle, is the foundation for autonomous vehicles. And this supports our zero-emission future world view. Those are never words I've ever heard from GM, like ever. So, But more notably, they did mention that by 2019, they want to have a fully autonomous vehicle on the road.
Called the Cruise, it looks like, but spelled differently from the current Chevy Cruise.
So that's interesting.
It's like Cruise spelled the way that you would have expected it to be spelled.
Yeah, and like currently, there's a bunch of different technologies that sort of enable self-driving. GM kind of has their own proprietary stuff. It is some kind of strobe plus their like Cruise technology and GM's proprietary stuff, and it's supposed to make it more affordable to do fully autonomous vehicles.
And be more efficient, more affordable, et cetera, because as we know, I mean, if there's one knock against Tesla, it's typically the cost.
Right, and again, we're sort of on the ground floor of electric vehicles. Right. So it's sort of, I get why it is what it is. They also, you scroll down a little more, we have batteries. Right now, a battery cell cost is $145 per kilowatt hour. So for instance, the Tesla P100D, that's 100 kilowatt hours. So that would be $145. 145,000 or 14,000. It's 14,000 or something.
Hey, we're not math experts.
No.
That's not why we're here.
No. You do the math. You figure it out. But anyway, this is a tech podcast, but you do the math. But they're looking to get it below that $100 threshold mark, which is really important. And Tesla already knows this, which is why the Gigafactory exists. But seeing a company who is like born and bred, gasoline in their veins, thinking about this is really exciting.
Yeah, it's good because, again, it just helps bring this to the masses to help speed up the adoption for the general population.
And I'm going to be honest, before Tesla, like I'm very much a GM kind of guy. I've owned a lot of GMs and actually a lot of Mitsubishis in my life. But my GMs, even when they did break, at least I knew how to work on them and the parts were cheap. And I mean, I just kind of kept going. So I'm very in support of them getting on the electric bandwagon and making electric cars. You guys all know how I feel about electric cars. I think it's super important for reasons known or unknown. I'm sure you've heard already. I'm not going to bore you with it. But we do have this article linked, I believe, in the show notes, right?
Correct, yes. It will be right there for everybody to look.
Yeah, it's on Electrek. It's a really good site. They have a really nice write-up about it. You can kind of read into it a little more. But kind of the biggest takeaways from this is GM wants to make a fully autonomous vehicle by 2019. And the only way to do that is to have an electric vehicle. And I find that very fascinating.
Yep. And I'm kind of the same way as you, that if for some reason I can't get a Tesla due to primarily going to be cost, I would be completely fine with...
Here's the best thing about Tesla's mission. This is exactly what they want. They want everyone to transition to electric vehicles because then we are actually sustaining our own power and we don't have to buy foreign oil. We don't have to go to war for foreign things.
And deal with these
different
Dakota
powers, pipelines destroying, which I freaking told you so is all I'm going to say. Because I could go into a whole thing of that.
Oil spill from that big pipeline that's been in the news for the last, seems like, year or so.
Mm-hmm. All I can say is I told you so.
Yeah. Whoops.
This is another topic that really fascinates me.
Yeah, and something that I will honestly admit, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know anything about Bitcoin, because every time I hear the words Bitcoin or the word Bitcoin, I just get this imaginary question mark above my head thinking, how does the value of something that you can't visually see, and I really don't see how you can spend these, how does the value of these things keep like skyrocketing like thousands of % in this year, the last couple of years?
Well, and the interesting thing is, I believe one Bitcoin is around $10,000.
Roughly, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most expensive coin that I know of, but I definitely see where you're coming from with the imaginary coin. I like to liken it more to when people started talking about the cloud, and you would get that question mark above the head, like, well, what's the cloud? Like, I don't understand what the cloud is, but now everybody kind of knows, right? Yeah. So I kind of feel the same way about Bitcoin. It's that kind of electronic currency that kind of has no bounds, can't really be tracked, it seems, which is why a lot of the kind of darker corners of the internet use it.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why I think I'm just kind of leery about all this. Because, at the Tech Artista co-working space that the podcast studio was at, right outside the office, if I looked outside the door, there was a Bitcoin machine. And the people that were not Tech Artista members that were coming in to quote-unquote make deposits, whatever it is they're doing at this like Bitcoin ATM looking kind of thing, not exactly the kind of people that I would invite to go out to lunch.
Oh, interesting.
Just say that.
Well, the thing about Bitcoin that has me, I guess, a little worried is kind of its volatile nature right now, because it's spiking in price, right? What goes up must come down.
Right.
And it's
like I'm just visualizing this balloon that just keeps going.
So when you have all that money invested into this thing, as this balloon gets bigger, what happens when it all just sucks? Like, all of a sudden somebody realizes that it's starting to go back down. Everyone is going to lose their minds, pull their money, and then it could be worthless.
Yeah.
We're not sure. I mean, obviously we're not sure. It's the future. But it's a good educated guess, I would feel. And I would think a lot of economists would kind of lean in that way. Maybe we're all wrong, but I kind of think history's on our side here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously look at the housing market, stock markets. Obviously the stock market's like doing really good right now, but it's inevitably going to have a wake-up call. Yeah, and like come back down to earth. Mm-hmm. But Bitcoins are like 1,258% higher than it was this time last year.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if you talk to certain people, they'll say, well, we're still getting it on the ground level, even though it's $10,000 for like one Bitcoin. I'm like, are you insane? Like, there's no way I'm going to invest $10,000 in one Bitcoin. No.
Yeah, it's just... And this is like 2 days after Bitcoin hit 9,000. Mm-hmm. It's like jumped up $1,000 in like 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
That's...
Again, who knows where it really leads to. I do find this topic very fascinating because there is a reality where we literally will not have tangible money. I fully see that.
You look at Apple Pay and Android Pay and all that stuff. That's most essentially the same.
In my generation, all of us millennials will say, we don't carry cash. It's kind of dangerous to do that.
We rarely write checks.
Well, yeah, most kids will be like, what's a check?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember having them at one time, but now it's more a pain than it is to even carry them or write them or anything. Yeah. Like, I would just rather tap my phone and go.
Yeah. Like today is a great example. Today I've both purchased and sold some video game systems. One I paid for PayPal. The other I paid for with cash. I sold stuff for cash, and I sold stuff for PayPal.
And those were both at physical locations.
Yeah, meeting in person.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, I don't think physical money in my lifetime necessarily go away that fast.
The way that we know it.
Right.
Green dollar bills and stuff like that.
I think that'll still be around in my lifetime. I think. I could be wrong.
It could. I mean, obviously, depending on how long we stay alive, it could start phasing out.
Yeah. I don't know. I always feel like
years.
we always think technology is faster than it actually is. Because, like, by now, people thought we'd be living in space and flying cars
and jetpacks and
that
walking.
None of that really has
pushing
happened.
Pushing a button and the meal just pops out from the table.
Yeah, so
prepared.
I like to give it a little bit of a cushion. So I don't know, maybe in my lifetime, maybe. That's a big maybe.
We'll see. So this year we have talked a number of times about the Essential phone.
Yeah, super cool design. Unfortunately, didn't have ingress protection. Kind of had a rough launch.
Right, because of it just needed some more software tweaks, primarily for the camera and stuff like that, which new hardware, stuff like that, you kind of expect that. You're not entirely surprised.
For instance, the Razer phone is going to be getting some updates for its camera.
But you guys have them in store.
And they are super cool. I wish it had ingress protection. However, it's a first-gen product. We'll see where it goes. I'm excited because Razer usually puts all in. However, back to the story.
Yeah, so obviously Andy Rubin is kind of like the lead point man, CEO, or he's the founder and CEO of Essential.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, is he kind of the guy that started the Nexus phone? Or helped with that program?
I believe so, yes. I know he was definitely associated with Google. He left Google in 2014, roughly. And apparently part of the reason for that has recently come to light. No, he's not a Hollywood actor. No, he's not a politician.
Uh-oh.
But apparently he's been accused of some sexual misconduct or inappropriate relationships with at least a female coworker. I don't know how many. I know of at least one who has worked under him. Pardon the pun, that's not intended to mean anything. And has also filed a complaint to the Human Resources Office back in 2014 while at Google.
Huh.
So it's kind of getting into the tech space, which we kind of already knew. Robert Scoble and kind of got hit with some allegations because he's unfortunate. I mean, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the world of technology, but just because you always know what you're talking about doesn't mean you might have the greatest personal character.
Yeah.
We all have our personal flaws. And we'll just say, quote unquote, demons. It's just how much we let those quote unquote demons show and
how we manage them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's perfect.
No. So money does funny things to people. It really does.
Money and power.
Yes, and that was air quotes for those of you who can't see the sound waves in your ears.
Who would have thought, for example, just the other day, that Matt Lauer would have had a button installed on his desk that could lock a door in his office without having to get up and go physically lock the door.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
For a television personality.
Mm-hmm.
Hello? Why? I don't really think you need to have this crazy kind of security. But obviously he has been accused and he did deny.
Well, I mean, we all have, for those of us who have smart homes, we all have like little buttons on our phones in our pockets now. Yeah. So it's not too different. I can unlock
and start my car from my watch.
Oh, that's cool. I'm jealous.
I know. It's so cool. Yeah. Thank you. General Motors, OnStar.
See? That's what I'm saying.
I know. But yeah, so it has made its way to the tech sphere. So
I'm not incredibly surprised. I feel a lot of people who have been in this situation, it's a terrible situation to be in, and it feels like there's a lot of people who say that it's the cool thing to do right now, like to come out and say these things years later.
Yeah, make allegations and all this stuff.
However, these have been logged years back before that was even a thing. It's just they're surfacing now because it's kind of a topical issue that we're running into. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say that every single case right now is exactly, what's wrong with America or whatever the thing is.
It's just been bad behavior on the parts of,
in various number of years.
Yeah. Men in power since essentially the beginning of time. I mean,
yeah.
Watch the HBO series Rome, and I'll tell you what kind of some of the stuff that happened in Rome.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, I don't even want to think about the Roman stuff. And obviously, we always hear about some of the bad Catholic priests and stuff like that. It just, it's unfortunately, it's kind of like everywhere.
Yeah. Again, people with demons.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Not too surprised. Kind of unfortunate, but I guess we'll kind of see where everything goes from here.
Yeah. So Rubin was one of the co-founders of Android before it was bought out by Google. That's how he's associated with all of that stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, Google, that was quite the investment there.
I'd say that kind of worked out pretty good for them.
Well, just kind of the leading mobile operating system.
Yes, it has installed on more devices in use than I would say any other mobile operating system, which I believe, Microsoft came out this week or whatever and said that Windows 10 is on now like 600 million devices or something like that. I forget
Still kind of on track in some ways for the 1.5 billion that we were looking for.
Yeah, within 3 years or whatever that was like the target.
I mean,
3 years, 5 years, something like that.
Obviously, it's kind of hard to reach that extra, 900 million in 1 year, but in the same respect, that's still very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, as more and more people's Windows 7, Windows 8 devices start reaching not necessarily end of life, but end of practical use to where it's like still convenient.
Hey, if you want VR, you gotta go Windows 10.
Yeah,
you gotta.
Some more of those devices will start falling off the wayside a little bit,
or MR. MR has to be Windows 10. Absolutely. Right. VR, I could be wrong, but
so it'll start picking up again in the next year or so. I would imagine 2018 is going to be another big year for people transitioning into the newer hardware and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just kind of a rolling process. Computers are made much better than they used to be. Yeah. So I think the longer longevity of the life cycle of those devices, people hold on to them longer. I mean, I've seen quite a few original Surface come in just with, various different things of over time. Of course, that's going to break.
Volume buttons, power buttons, stuff like
whatever,
that.
Yeah.
Displays cracking, speakers stopping working.
Yeah.
Batteries not holding charges is one of the biggest things.
People that bring them in that absolutely love their device and they were just maybe looking for a mouse.
All right, let's move into our app entertainment and hardware picks of this week. A lot of entertainment picks because Brad seen a movie, and I went on kind of like a crazy movie watching binge with my family and wife, and then again we watched another movie this week.
Well, it was Thanksgiving. That's kind of almost known for doing that, really.
Yeah, a lot of people go see movies and stuff like that. So the first movie that I think we'll just both talk about, because we have both seen this at separate times, is the new Disney Pixar film, Coco.
Now, obviously, I was going to go see it.
Yep.
And I had to just drag Sarah to go see it.
I'm sure she was kicking and screaming.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Disney. No, I can't watch a Disney movie.
As she sits in the other room.
Right. Rolling her eyes. Oh, those two. So Coco, what did you kind of know before going into this movie?
Not a whole lot. I knew it was sort of based around the
Mexican, Spanish Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead. We'll just say Day of the Dead because I'm not going to try to pronounce it right now. But I knew that. I knew it was a kid that loved to play music, and his family wasn't really crazy about that. But then potentially his great grandpa was one of this famous singer, and
think Elvis.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Right. He was the Hispanic Elvis.
Yeah. So then, he wrote all these songs, did all this stuff, and tragically maybe, passed away or whatever. And he finds out that maybe, that was his great whatever. So he feels destined to go not only meet him, but
be like him.
To be like him. And then, of course, being Disney, you gotta... Here's the thing that I noticed about a lot of Disney movies lately that I can't say the same for most kids movies / most DreamWorks movies. The character development is unmatched. Characters are the most important part of the story, and just because it's a kid movie doesn't mean it has to suffer from terrible character development. This movie, it just knocks it out of the park. It's fantastic. I really had no issues with the story. Everything that was in there felt like it belonged, even if it was maybe shoehorned in at the last minute for some reason.
To me, again, I think this is one of those Disney films that it's not made really for kids to get. Kids aren't going to understand this.
No, but I think they're going to love it.
They're going to love it, yeah, because it's beautiful.
There's plenty in there for adults.
Yes,
but then there's also plenty in there for kids. So that's the Disney magical Pixar's Disney thing. Sauce. Like, Disney's never meant to be just for kids. Walt Disney always wanted this to be a company for family, like an entire family, from young to old. That was kind of this whole thing. And this movie encompasses that. Yeah. I think Pixar always does a fantastic job, and so does Disney Animation Studio, I think is what it's called, which does animation, they're sometimes they look like they're the same, they're not, right? So just prefacing that.
Right. And I know one other thing too, if you're like on a tight schedule, if the movie says it's going to start at 2:15, give it another almost half hour,
about 22 minutes,
because there's a Frozen quote unquote short. I mean, all Disney Pixar movies has a short in front of it. Normally it's a Disney Pixar short.
Yep.
But this time it was a Frozen short.
Yep.
Holiday themed.
Yep.
Which kind of put off our timing for that day. I'm like, oh my God. Look down, it's like almost 3 o'clock. I'm like, this thing was supposed to start 30 minutes ago.
So I don't know exactly. The sort of, we'll call it mini show, one-time off show. I don't know. It's essentially 22 minutes long.
Well, it's going to be released. It's not a standalone. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's Frozen.
I almost feel like it didn't belong.
It didn't fit the movie for sure. I mean, it fit the time of year.
Sure. You go in the mindset to see this other movie, and I even felt myself thinking, this is kind of long for a little like short thing.
Right.
But eventually I just gave up, and I was just like, we'll see where it goes. Right. Whatever. I'll see Coco eventually.
Shorts are 4 to 5 minutes, roughly, maybe 6.
Right. Yeah. And this one, again, 22 minutes long. You had to sit through it to see Coco. So if you are a little late, you might not be missing too much.
Yeah.
The short it's cute. It's fine. It's great for kids.
It's funny. It's entertaining. And it's one of those things that adults are going to get some nice little laughs out of a few scenes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, hello. Well, that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that. But no, even whether or not you have kids or not, go see Coco. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
A lot of kind of twists that I was not expecting. Some I'm like, I saw that coming a mile away.
So I'm prefacing saying this before Star Wars is out, but this is my favorite movie of the year so far.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I would definitely say probably top 5. Not sure just yet where I would place it in that top 5.
Again, haven't seen Star Wars. It's just comes out in like what, 2
weeks,
16 days,
2 weeks
15 days, something like that.
Comes out on the 15th. So
yeah,
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
I know. It's like, oh my God, The Last Jedi.
Oh, and that means PUBG comes out that week. Oh, it's gonna be great.
You start seeing more advertising. You get light side Luke, dark side Luke. It's like, oh God, what is going on here?
I'm excited.
I know. It's like, and the more trailers, you're like,
So I think it's also telling that potentially both of my favorite movies of the year are both Disney properties.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. So, also, heard really good things about Thor Ragnarok, also a Disney property.
Oh my God. That's another movie. Go see it in theaters. You get a whole other appreciation for that. We'll talk a little bit more Avengers stuff here in just a few moments. But the other two movies that I did get a chance to go see that are available in theaters, one is maybe not in such wide release, and the other is in completely wide release. The one in not so wide, possibly wide release, is called 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri.
So where'd you go see that?
At the Ronnie's Theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Again, so Marcus Theater chain has put in a whole bunch of money in some theaters here in St. Louis so far.
Yeah, so
they kind of bought into Warenberg.
Yeah, which is still so strange to me because 1902 was their first theater.
Yeah. And they have transferred all opening stuff away from Warenberg. It's all Marcus now.
Oh no, no Warenberg.
Nope, no Warenberg.
Warenberg.
I still kind of do that though, just because I have to. It's
that makes me sad.
41 years of Warenberg for me.
Well, not same, but you know what I mean.
Not as old as I am.
29 years.
But yes, 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri stars Frances McDormand, who has dealing still with the loss of her daughter, who had been raped, burned, murdered.
Oof.
And she feels that the police department, Chief Willoughby, who is played by Woody Harrelson, is not really doing such a great job.
No way.
Yeah. So you might think this is a serious movie. It is technically classified as a dark comedy because there are some hilarious parts in here.
So I love dark comedies. So does Sarah. So does Justin.
This movie you guys need to go see.
Interesting.
Sam Rockwell, who...
You already had me at Woody Harrelson.
Probably best known for playing Wild Bill in The Green Mile. He was kind of like the drunken prisoner that John Coffey kind of or had Percy off, and which that's a fantastic movie in itself. If you haven't seen Green Mile, see Green Mile. But yeah, Sam Rockwell plays Dixon. That's like his last name, Officer Dixon. He's kind of a racist bad cop in this movie and lives with his mama and stuff like that, reads comic books and stuff.
Oh, goodness.
He's kind of quote-unquote special, we'll say. But he plays a great part. He does a fantastic job. It's really great. And again, some little twists that you don't expect to see coming.
I love that. Same in Coco, by the way.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
I kind of had a sixth sense about this movie, but I still very much enjoyed it.
Yeah. But yeah, if you get a chance to see 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri, maybe not necessarily need to see it in theaters, but if your local theater chain does like a $5 Tuesday or $5 day, yeah, go check it out in the theater and stuff like that. The other movie that I got a chance to see was Wonder. So it was about the disfigured face boy with Owen Wilson plays the dad, Julia Roberts plays the mom, Jacob Tremblay, I believe, plays the boy. And it's really a very, very good movie. I believe the kids, the grades, they're kind of doing this. It's probably about age 11, age 12. So we're looking at 5th, 6th graders. Obviously, it's a challenging time. Throughout his entire life, he's been dealing with surgeries and stuff like that, kind of help with his condition that he was born with. And he has a older sister who I believe she's probably in the high school, early high school age range and stuff like that. There's a lot of really great moments and messages, obviously, in that, dealing with bullying and all this stuff, and just wants to be able to fit in and stuff like that because he'd spent all his time being homeschooled, and his mom's a pretty dedicated homeschooler because obviously she wants the best for her kid, and So he's really good in science and obviously stuff like that. Really smart, and a couple of kids have to show him around the new school because they want him to kind of like start real school to be more socially active and things like that. Really good, really good. Can't recommend that one enough either. Owen Wilson is Owen Wilson. His delivery on some of his lines and stuff like that, it's just good. Julia Roberts does a really good job. The girl that plays Via, the sister, I can't remember what her real name is, but yeah, she's really good in her role too. I would say everybody in the cast did really good. It did something a little different that I wasn't expecting. It kind of would go through this, and then all of a sudden it would kind of like show a character's name and then kind of go into a little side backstory of them and different things. And it kind of went through a bunch of different things like that. So it was fantastic. Again, that might be one that you might want to wait to rent, catch on home video or something. But I think it's probably going to at least be nominated for some awards. I think both that and 3 Billboards will be nominated for some awards, and maybe even won a couple.
3 Billboards really has my attention.
Yeah. Watch the trailer if you haven't watched the trailer, and look for there was a special that we caught when we were visiting Kansas City in early November. Mm-hmm. We were just in the hotel room killing some time and watching something on TV, and we seen kind of like this 15, 20 minute, not necessarily infomercial, but kind of like behind the scenes making of kind of thing. It's like, that looks really good. And then it came out so many weeks later, and I was like, that's one we want to go see.
So that's funny. When we were in San Francisco, we had saw a special on Alcatraz and like, why it is what it is. And then we also, actually, I think it's early next year, they're going to we went to the Winchester Mystery House or Mystery.
It was like right there.
The Mystery
Airport. It's supposed to be like one of the haunted places in America.
And it's really weird because it's kind of in the middle of a city, and then there's just this huge mansion, that like sprawling house.
It doesn't quite fit the location.
No, it's such a strange house, but it's super cool. Highly recommended. But there's a movie coming out about it, so I'm pretty excited about
the house.
Yeah, and the Winchester family and kind of the
like
misfortune.
Lemp family in St. Louis. Maybe not that obviously creepy and horrible crime stuff.
Maybe you might have to wait to see. But there's a movie coming out, so look for that too.
So I mentioned earlier about the trailer. Well, Avengers Infinity War trailer is now live.
Poster looks super cool. Just the kind of like rainbow color. I don't even know what to call it.
Just like all the different colors of the rainbow and stuff like that for the Infinity Stones and
stuff
like that.
Very minimalistic, but super cool.
The trailer.
I haven't seen it because I heard if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, it might spoil some things.
Yeah, I could see that. Man, it looks good. I am so ready for this. Spider-Man's in there, Vision's in there, Scarlet Witch, I can't think of what. Black Widow, Iron Man, Captain America, Loki, Hulk. Everybody's there. And even the Guardians of the Galaxy.
First time crossover.
I know.
That's an expensive movie.
And I just love it at the end of the trailer. Thor's like, and who are you guys supposed to be? Marvel just nails it.
Yeah, their timing and delivery has always been like spot on.
God, it is.
Where is the Justice League? I've not heard as great things.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. It's going to be one of those $5 because it's a movie I still want to see in theaters, but it's going to be one of those $5 deals. I'm not paying full $12.
No, see, I've been burned too many times on DC right now, and the person that was originally behind this, I don't really care for his movies, so I'm just going to play it chill, play it safe right now.
I'm still going to go catch it on like a $5 Tuesday, but I'm going to have to do that soon.
You'll have to let me know how you think of it, or what you think of it, compared to, we'll say, Marvel. Because honestly, that's kind of the litmus.
It's not gonna come close to a Marvel film. Probably even one of the worst Marvel films that's ever been put out.
What would that be?
I would say it'd probably be one of the more
Iron Man 2.
No, one of the first Hulks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, you had Eric Bana, I think, played the first Hulk, and then Edward Norton.
I would say the original Hulk then. The original in like, early 2000?
Yeah, a long time ago. No. And I'm looking forward to seeing Black Panther, too. That looks good. I really like that character, the actor that's playing him and stuff like that. His delivery and all looks good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So you bought something on Black Friday.
I did. In our store, we had a deal on some wireless earbuds. Forgive me. I don't know the name of them. Yeah, I know. It's great. They're
I don't
probably
know who makes these AirPods I got, but I got them at the Apple store.
Well, just hold, chill. So, essentially, it was a Black Friday deal. Normally, they're $100. I thought that I had saw some promotion that they were going to be 50% off, which would, put them at $50. So I'm like, even at that price, I just bought an Xbox. I'm not looking to spend a lot this Black Friday. So then I walk in the store and they're $34. I'm like, oh, I'm buying these now. So I bought them immediately, waited till lunch to kind of pair them up. I started pairing them up, started listening to podcasts. I'm like, these are great. This is awesome. This is exactly what I wanted. I walked like far away from my phone to kind of see connection, like how good it was, range.
Any interference or anything?
Yeah, everything initially was fantastic.
Ooh, you said that word initially.
I did, for a reason. So a little time goes by. I get home and I'm a little curious on how they sound with a call. So I'm like, hey, Sarah, I'm going to call you real quick. So I call her, and all you hear is like just lots of static.
Oh, no.
I'm like, okay, so I can't make calls. That's kind of a big deal because that's part of the reason why I like the whole Bluetooth headset.
I like the AirPods do good with that.
I still like to make calls, and that way I can do the hands-free device because you're supposed to anyway when you're driving. Trying to be a responsible adult.
Yeah, and you don't have a Bluetooth radio in your car, so
no, I don't. I'm 2004, so
like for me, if I'm wearing my AirPods and then I get in my car and turn it on, it automatically switches to the car. Bluetooth comes on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then from then on, I started having all kinds of weird issues with it. So it would have like syncing issues. It wouldn't, I would have it where it would just sound would just cut out in the middle of my podcast. And I'd like, what the heck? Like everything's fine. The internet's fine. What is going on? And I would never have these issues with my really Sarah's old LG, like kind of Bluetooth tone.
Right.
The ones that go around your neck.
Yeah, it has the thing that goes on the back of your neck, and you got the
little pods that come
pull them out and bloop,
yep,
put them in your ears.
Which are fine. Those are,
it's Bluetooth, still wires and stuff there.
Never had an issue with those. So going from those to this, so I will say, I absolutely love the whole wireless earbud thing. Totally get why Apple made the AirPods. Super behind the technology of us getting there as fast as possible. However, the pair that I got didn't quite, and also not great for listening to music. Podcast, sure, which I listen to a lot of. So that works fine.
Podcast, audiobooks, good.
Yeah. If you listen to music, might not have that desired bass that you may be looking for.
Okay.
That all being said, I'm probably going to end up returning them just because if I can't make a call
with your phone, right?
With my phone, if I can't make a call and I have syncing issues, there's literally no reason for me to hold on to them.
For the syncing issue, have you tried pairing them to Sarah's iPhone just to see if it's an issue Bluetooth Android?
I haven't, only because my other Bluetooth works flawlessly.
Okay.
So I guess I never considered that, being as my other one works flawlessly, never have had any connection issues. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of thought that they were the buds, to be honest.
Yeah. So regular retail, $100, on sale Black Friday, $35.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, still for $100, you would expect at retail, that to work.
That's what I'm saying.
Work fine.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, the sound quality would probably be a little bit lower because, again, what you're spending as opposed to what you should expect to get.
Sure.
Obviously, you didn't think, well, yeah, these are going to sound like
Well,
wonderful.
So initially at the $100 price range, I would expect those to be very
decent.
Yeah, what the price that I bought them at, I was still kind of expecting a little bit of quality, but I was still anticipating potentially something going wrong.
So it sounds like the $35 to $50 range is about where it should be.
Should be normally. Yeah, I agree. Again, they're not that price anymore, so it's not really worth me recommending because, again, it was a Black Friday deal. I know one of the Windows Phone people actually mentioned that they picked a pair of those up. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how he likes them. Maybe they work better for his device, or maybe he just got a better pair than I did. Maybe I just got a faulty pair. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just in a place where money's a little tight.
And you've already got a pair that work good for you.
That worked just fine. So what I will say is I love wireless earbuds. Can't wait till the technology takes off. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where it all goes. But my next pair, I'm really going to do some research and really hope for that next pair to work good.
I think Marquez Brownlee keeps talking about the Jaybird X3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Look through some of his reviews. He's talked about some really good ones that he likes.
Yeah. And I'm sure they come with a little bit of a price tag.
They were comparable to
AirPods.
The AirPods. Yeah. And I think even the model that came before, he said, was kind of like an even better buy because that was obviously when the new ones come out, the other ones price gets slashed. Mm-hmm. But he said they're still fantastic. I want to say he almost like the 2's still better than the 3. So that's, again, look through his reviews on those. And
I'd almost rather spend the extra $100 and get a Switch. Just saying. I'm just saying. Priorities.
Saying. Yeah. Gamers. All right. One other little thing I do want to mention, and I want to thank Wes Palmer, who is in the Tech Informist Facebook community. He wrote his first post for the Tech Informist website about how to set up a Wi-Fi extender using an old wireless router. So I urge you to go through and take a look at that. We'll link to that post in there. I mean, he really breaks it down step by step, and it's like, wow, okay, that's pretty dang cool stuff here. So,
yeah, and this is something that I have explored in the past when we lived in like kind of more of a longer apartment where we needed that extender. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know how to do it, and I didn't really take the time out of my day to kind of research and figure it out. I just bought an extender. But I really like his post. I really think that I may use that in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I've got an old, I think it's an old D-Link. No, it's an old Linksys, the WRT 54G. You know, obviously it was sold really well. A lot of people had those. Just sitting in a drawer right now.
I've always kind of been a Netgear guy. Mm-hmm. They've always worked very well for me, so I've just that's my brand that I keep going to.
On Black Friday, I saw I think it was Walmart had the Netgear Nighthawk on sale for like $80 or $90.
Which Nighthawk?
The 1900. Okay. The one that I've got. I think that's the one you got, isn't it? Mm. You went the step up.
Step up, $23.50 or whatever it's called.
Which, when I bought mine, I think I got it for $200. So now it's like even less than 50%.
Mine was Black Friday last year. Almost now family.
A friend
of the family. Really, Nathan. He worked at Walmart at the time, so he had grabbed one for me, and it was $150. So,
which was a good
Nest deal. Went on sale for like $150. It never gets down that low. No. I was like, oh my god, I want one.
Like, jeez, it's not.
But I live in an apartment, so it doesn't make sense. Eventually, I'll get there. Yeah. I really love the idea of Nest.
I like. I mean, obviously,
which
I've got
we now sell all in store in Microsoft Store. We sell the cameras, Nest. So if you need one, swing by.
There you go. How about that? So yes, again, thank you to Wes, and check out this. And if anybody else wants to share some of your expertise, we're more than willing to see what it is you might like to do a little post about. And hopefully we're going to start writing some more posts here in the future. Again, time, it's like miserable.
And to be fair, a lot of my focus is on my new job. I'm very passionate about advancing and moving forward. So
education and training and stuff like that. I completely
also
understand.
need a breather. Need to,
Unwind?
indulge and unwind in a little, digital pleasures such as video games.
Well, liquid pleasure is this week's beer pick of the week, which, what do you have for us?
So this is out of tiny little brewery in Normal, Illinois, which if you know anything about Normal, Illinois, a lot of cars come from there.
Not normal.
Specifically, one of my Mitsubishis was made there. And, you said a lot of Chryslers came from there?
Yeah, it's where my Dodge Avenger was built. Back in 95.
Yes. So that Mitsubishi partnership. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's where that comes from. Little known fact, but that's where this beer comes from as well, and that's the Weisenheimer Hefeweizen, which is kind of a Southern-style German Hefeweizen, if that makes any sense. So think banana-like, clove-like aromas and flavors, very low hop, so like not very bitter at all, almost bready, if you will, almost like a banana bread.
Yeah, I just
Fantastic
keep hearing
beer.
stuff that sound like gluten, so it's
Yes, your stomach's already churning and
not quite, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But I kind of give it, a solid 4. It right now has a rating of 3.58 out of almost 10,000 ratings. So that's not terrible. It's kind of middle of the road, but I tend to really like those really bready, kind of almost baked goods flavor. And that clove and that banana really kind of bring that out. And 5.2 ABV with 16 IBUs. So again, not very hop heavy at all. Just enough to really...
Hefeweizens are typically kind of light. Those are the kinds of things usually are good for summer.
Yeah, and usually when I'm starting somebody out with beer, like just craft beer, and they're getting away from the fancy, fuzzy light lagers, I usually go toward... Sorry, I meant fizzy, not fuzzy.
Yeah, you don't go for an IPA.
That gross hair on your tongue.
Or an AIPA.
Yeah. But I will usually direct people towards Hefeweizens such as Blue Moons and any unfiltered kind of wheat beer. I feel like it's a really easy drinking, usually not sweet, but kind of that really nice mouthfeel.
Yeah,
where
it's not
full.
a lager.
Right. So, yeah, really nice beer. Really kind of surprised me. Actually had this while cutting, again, Justin, friends of the show, couch in half, which I have some pictures of on Instagram of that process. And then we went to IKEA.
Bought a couch.
Brought it back, put it together, had a beer, passed some time.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what friends are for.
Yeah, Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a thing, that's for sure. Well, that does it for this week. I believe this episode is going to be out very soon, probably the next day. So look for it on December 1st. If you're hearing this after December 1st, well, we recorded it ahead of time, and that's why it's not live. And another thing... Which
I'm in some ways glad for now. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the live shows because those were pretty fun.
Yeah, with the live chat and stuff like that going on. But one other little thing that came out, I got the email from Rob Walsh, one of the main people, community relations kind of person at Libsyn, who hosts the great majority of podcasts that you probably like out there, or probably hosted there.
Nice.
And he sent out an email explaining that pretty much anybody that wants to have their podcast on Spotify now can. So I've set up the Tech Informist as to push our episodes
out to
past
Spotify
and new, to Spotify. And according to the instructions on there, Spotify says it can take up to 2 weeks for it to start populating.
Well, we are now partnered with Spotify at the store. Invoke Speaker now works with that, so that's super cool.
So pretty soon you'll be able to just say whatever little home personal assistant, play Tech Informist Podcast on Spotify, and you should be able to do that.
Which I will mention, and again, maybe I'm a little biased, but the Invoke speaker, probably the most attractive, like smart home speaker.
Beautiful.
Also, probably the best sounding.
I kind of regret not buying one on Black Friday, but Money
We'll
and
see.
things
We'll see
like,
where things go.
money and things like that
Sure.
just weren't working.
Yeah, no, totally.
Tires for my son, and I'm like, why did you?
Only bought one thing on Black Friday, and it was a 6-year-old game, Skyrim remastered for my Xbox, because I knew it was getting the 4K treatment.
Yeah.
So is Fallout 4. So I just bought Skyrim for $20. So why not?
Nothing wrong with that.
I felt the longevity of the game and the fun that I will have with it kind of outweighed the price. So I was like, yeah.
Guess what game came in the mail today from Amazon? Just guess. Just say what kind of console you think this game might be for.
Nintendo Switch.
Nope.
Oh. Well.
It's a Nintendo console. Nintendo 64. All-Star Baseball 2001. So a 16, 17-year-old baseball game on Nintendo 64 I had to just, quote, had to have.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it's because I want to play as the Cardinals, because that was the first game that Rick Ankiel, and he was a really good pitcher on the Cardinals on that game.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
The curveball's like wicked. It's just, I can't wait to get a chance to play it. Yeah. I can't wait to get my whole gaming setup.
You're going to get one of those, like, kind of, for lack of a better term, IKEA cubes where you have all the separate little things.
All the little separate little cubby holes, and I'm eventually going to do some LED lighting and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll have, my regular HD TV here and a CRT TV here, side by side, so I can play whatever.
We're going to get a CRT TV.
I've got one.
Oh, well, look at you.
Yeah.
As soon as I could throw that thing out the window, I did.
Well, if you like retro gaming systems, it's still the best way to play them.
Yeah, you're right. Because, to be fair, the pixels were made and aligned in the specific way to filter onto a CRT TV to kind of have that softer look to them. So when they were that pixelated, you didn't really notice because, again, you were on a CRT TV.
Plus, if I want to play Duck Hunt or Hogan's Alley or not Urban Champion, what was the other one that I'm thinking of?
Any of them that use that technology, the light gun, yeah.
Yeah, you have to have that.
Mm-hmm.
So it
was like a Police Academy one or something.
No, there's like Lethal Enforcers. There's a variety of games that use light guns across various systems. But yeah, he's got to have
cool technology.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny to do. But anyway, that does it for this week. Maybe next week we'll talk a little more retro gaming and stuff like that, because I got a Virtual Boy today from Nintendo.
I seriously cannot wait to try it, because I've never, not only have I ever touched one, I've never seen one in real life, I've never used one, so this is going to be a learning experience for both of us.
Yeah. Well, the fact that I didn't bring it with me today is because, I carry so much stuff just to get in here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
why I'm like, I'm not bringing that with me.
I wanted to. I got to eat and drink at Main and Mill eventually.
Exactly. So you need to come down and we'll have a little game session. All right. Again, that does it. Join us in the Facebook community, Tech Informist community on Facebook group. Mm-hmm. We've had a few new members over the last couple of weeks, so it's, again, Daryl just keeps inviting people. I like it.
Yeah, kind of one of our better ideas. Mm-hmm. I don't know why we didn't do it sooner.
I know. And we're going to have to try to get a little bit more active, but that's a little bit more on me. But anybody else that's listening, thank you so much for listening. And one other thing that I haven't really asked for in a while, I think I may have asked a few weeks ago, but check over on iTunes and maybe leave a rating and review.
Yeah, helps us out. We're not asking for cash, just a little rating and review helps us a lot.
Yeah, just let us know what you think of the show. Anything that we may change, shorten, extend, what you want.
Always open to feedback.
The show is hosted by us, but it's for you. And that does it. And until next time, consider yourself informed. We're out of here.
Alexa, end this podcast.
You want to hear a station for porn detective, porno ringtone, hot chick, amateur girl, quality sexy.
No!
Pussy anal dildo ringtone.
Alexa, stop!